Today we are going to paint a pink rose with 3 easy steps. We are going to need this small canvas 8 by 8 inches, the tier of palettes which you can throw out after the painting, a napkin or kitchen towel, and a palette knife. And I'm going to use the oil paints of the brand Van Gogh. We need titanium white, burnt umber. We are going to need only 6 colors: Azo red medium, Azo yellow light, and olive green. These are basic colors, and ultramarine. Only 6 colors, and I usually use only basic colors. Only on special occasions I use some special colors as pyrrole red or Madder Lake, but these colors are my favorites. You can mix almost everything from these colors. I sometimes use also a carmine and a cerulean. These are my favorite colors which I can mix everything from. And we are going to make our sketch with a charcoal. It is pretty clean form, quite clear, to sort out how to build the form, the shape of our rose, how to make it realistic. What forms does the rose consist of? The main shape of our rose is a spherical shape, slightly elongated upward like a conus, which is surrounded of the big petals, which are also a little bit rolled up. Our cone shape spherical bud also in this order situates in another shape which resembles a cup or bowl. Our sketch is ready, and we move into the next part. The next part of this tutorial is a background. We will mix the colors on a palette very properly, so that our mixture will be completely ready, and only then we will apply it on our canvas. Now I'm mixing olive green with ultramarine to get a little bit coldish mixture. And with this mixture I surround my flower from all sides. I'm making a background outside this shape. It is important to mix colors very properly on a palette, and also it is essential to make the background very thin, so you can see the palette knife scratches all the paint and feels only the natural pores of the canvas, so that extra paint doesn't remain on the canvas. It is neat for the first stage. If your background will be very thin, you will be able to correct your painting very easily. The canvas which I use, I noticed that it is stretched a little bit poorly. But it is not a problem at all. If you have the same problem, you can water it from the back side, and it stretches by itself after drying. As I already began, I want to do it now. I will do it after the drying of my painting. It is also okay. I would like you to pay your attention on this sound. It is scratching movements, and with these motions you can scratch the paint very properly, so that we don't got the flowings of the paint. If you will apply the paint like you scratching it and rub it into your canvas, all over your canvas, it will be a perfect first layer for our painting, so that we can easily correct it when we will apply thicker strokes. And we will be able to apply the shape which we want, so that it will hold our difficult shape of the rose under control. So we applied our background, and now we are going to apply the background of the rose itself. Also very thin layer. But with this thin layer we will apply a shape of our rose, so that in the future we will able to make it very beautiful and thick impasto. I'm mixing titanium white with azo red medium and little bit of ultramarine. It will be our cold pink color. Mix it very properly on a palette. And from the other side of our pink color, I mix the warm shadow. I put the burnt umber in my shadow color. It is the same pink color as a red medium with titanium white, but with adding of little bit of burnt umber. And I also added little bit as a red medium in it. So we got two shadow colors. One of them will be cold and one of them will be warm. Clean your palette knife properly when you switching the color. Every time you switching the color, you have to clean your palette knife. Our nice pink rose is a little bit yellowish, so I added a little bit of azo yellow light in my mixture. It turns out very nice peach color. Now I'm going to darken a little bit more my mixture for my warm shadow. I added a little bit more burnt umber and a little bit more azo red medium. And I darkened the very center of my rose. I also use very thin movements, very thin strokes, only to cover the pores of the canvas. And I slowly move into the other side of my cone with scratching movements. And now it is magic. If your background was applied really thinly, you can put your clean palette knife on the canvas with whole surface and wrap the paint into the canvas, so you get this transition between shadow and light with nice smooth texture. Completely the same we are doing with our second layer of petals. Warm shadow in the left, slowly going to light color to the right. As closer we will to the light source, as lighter will be our mixture. And under this petal will be a shadow, but this shadow will be cold, so we can see the contrast between warm shadow and cold shadow. And as a contrast, from this side will be also shadows. We will now we applying the shadows. From this side the shadow will be warm. Here it will be contrast with our rolled up petals, and here our shadow will be cold. Now we highlighting all the dark places in our flower, creating a contrast between cold shadow and warm shadows. Here it will be a little bit red, because sometimes, as you saw probably, the flowers are a little bit transparent and they are shining on the sun, and it can be a little bit reddish. So that the middle of the sun shines a little bit from inside with reddish color. So you can see I highlight the most dark places in our flower, the most dark shadows, with the same mixture but with less titanium white. This shadow is closest to us, so it will be the darkest. And the light is backwards. The closest light is the lightest one. When you use this rule, your volumes, your objects look volumetric. When the paint applied thinly, you can also make the transition smooth with a finger. So our background of our rose is very thin applied, and we are switching to the other step, to thick strokes. Until now our background was very thin applied, and we are beginning to apply thick strokes. I take my very light mixture, almost white, with slight amount of yellow and red on this side of my palette knife. So you have here such a flowing. I put it on the canvas, squeeze it a little bit so you see, and then I press on the palette knife while I'm smearing the paint on the canvas, so that on the end of the movement it will appears our background and the transition turns out very smooth. You can see it here and here. Looks very nice. Now we have to make a contrast between this farther petal and this closer petal. I'll make a little bit darker. And the same movement, little bit shorter. So you have to turn your arm, and it is more useful to take the paint on another edge of the palette knife to not smudge your nice flowing which you already made. The same movement, so looks very nice. And we're beginning to apply stains very thinly to put our thick strokes on them. Whoops. The petals of the rose make corners, and it is very convenient to us using the palette knife. Whoops. Some more white, and we continuing to make our volume. The spaces between our shapes are remaining white and clean, so that when I will apply a very light shade on it, it will not smudge with the color of the background. It helps me to make my paint cleaner. I would like to round this shape a little bit, so I apply also my warm shade in contrast with this cold shade. And I also make a smooth transition on my thin background. So you see, our shape gets more volumetric. This petal doesn't have a smooth transition because it rolls up. Then we will apply it with even layer. It is even thick. I don't recommend to apply paint 2 times on one place. You can easily spoil it. If you don't happy with your stroke, you can simply take it away and then apply it again. Yeah, let's suggest that I'm not happy with this stroke. Probably I would make it with a straight palette knife, because now I don't see that the shape of this petal satisfies me. I clean my palette knife and very carefully take the paint away. So you see, the thin applied background didn't damaged, it remains completely the same. As I said already, the petals of the rose make corners. So I think this rolled petal would be easier to apply with a straight palette knife, not with a round one. I have several of my favorite palette knives. This one is the most favorite one. But this small palette knife, it is always very nice for the small details which require the straight shapes. So we will apply the paint which rounds up, which rolls this way. We are applying it very straight. So the surface of this paint stroke will be completely even thick. And again. So we've got our shape of this rolled petal. And now I am taking again my favorite palette knife, because we are going again to paint the rounded shapes. I take my mixture for the lights and with the same movement I make even thick layer of paint. This layer should be thin. With this movement I make a smooth transition, highlight it a little bit from this side because it is the darkest place in our flower. So you see that it is darker to the bottom and it is lighter on the top of this stain. And from this side will be another one petal, another one rolled up petal, which is highlighted with the shadow of the very big petal. Trying to make it smoothly. And now we will make a flowing between the green and our pink one. With this flowing, we trying to touch the green background and to cover all our empty places. So that the outline will be thick and beautiful. Whoops. Making the same thing with this big petal on the right. First making the background with our cold mixture. The background should be very thin, but it goes slowly lighter to the very edge. Mixing again our light mixture, little bit more, and with a confident movement we cover all these empty places and at the same time make a smooth transition between the flowing and the surface of our background of this petal with darkish surface. Beautiful petal. Now we can cover the empty places on our artwork. It is better to go from the inside to outside of the flower so that our petals will not smudge. First we make a background and then with this thick petals we go from the inside to outside. And for the finishing, making the same thing with the last petal, background, shadows. You can also correct your painting with the background if you are not happy with the shape of your petal. You can cut it a little bit from the outside with the color of your background. Play with it a little bit, make your own petals, take them away and apply it again. And I hope that you will paint your own pink or other color rose. And I would like to hear your feedback if you liked my tutorial. And I would like to hear from you. What have you done? How was your flowers? If you liked my tutorial, you can make a review for me. It will be very nice of you. And it helps to develop my shop with my tutorials, and it helps to other people to understand if they will also like this tutorial and if it will be helpful for them. We have a lot of paint in our palette and we can put all of that paint on our painting. Covering our empty places so that our painting will look neat. And also I would like to suggest to paint the edges of the painting. It also look nice. Yeah, and so we can use all our paint. Now you can use your fantasy, and it is already not important to remain our background thin. Now you can also make a thick flowings on your background, to use your fantasy, to put some lighter strokes in it, mix it a little bit with the paints which remain on our palette. So play with it. Cover all empty spots, empty places, and round up. Our rose is ready. Such a beautiful, small, cute painting. If it didn't turn out how it's supposed to be, it is not a problem. No one was perfect from the first time. I also didn't do this from the first time. So do it again, try it, and you will succeed.